Good afternoon and welcome to everyone online and here with us in person.
Ready?
I'm ready.
We're recording.
We are recording. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the Sarah Smith Go Team meeting where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noted. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Sarah Smith Go Team to order. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take roll.
Dwight Hudson,
Present.
Simona Hinton Derrickson,
Present.
Mary Posada. Is she?
She's supposed to be, but maybe on.
I don't see her. Okay. We'll come back. Ann Mittman, CJ Osby,
Present.
Jennifer Chestnut,
Present.
Carla Lamar,
She will not be here.
LaQuisha Smith, Ben Miller, Andrea Omari. Present.
Wait, I have 4 people in the.
Okay, so we're still good with the quorum.
The middle.
Do we want to scooch in? Just-
I
See you or Dwight or Jennifer or Andrea. Sorry.
You want to say everybody?
Okay, this team will only be able to take official action when quorum is present. And is there a quorum present?
Yes.
Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Please take a moment to review the agenda as needed. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. A second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Thank you. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. A second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Thank you. We will now move on to the discussion items of our agenda. Our first discussion item will be the budget development presentation. Mr. Hudson, take it away.
Okay. And I will go full screen. Okay, this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. We will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. Those are our norms for today. So we are in the Go Team budget development process, and our school strategic plan is the roadmap basically to everything that we've done. We've already reviewed those. We've done a data review, we've done a strategic plan review. We've rated our priorities and created budget parameters from those, and you'll see that I adjusted those based on our strategic plan, and then our budget choices, which we will discuss today. And I'm trying to get this Zoom window to hide out in a good place for us. All right.
Just click on that little one at the top.
I tried, but it wouldn't.
It won't. let you.
For some, oh, there it is, finally. All right. So All right, so we're at step 5, which is the Go Team feedback session after we saw our budget allocation. After this meeting today, our next step is to go to HR, and I'll have my staffing conference, and I believe that's set for February 27th. I will return to the Go Team with any changes that were made in the staffing conference, and that will be our final budget approval. And we have to have that meeting before March 15th, and we are scheduled for
March 7th.
March 7th.
Yeah, March 7th is our next go-to meeting.
Thank you. So what happens in this meeting? The Go Team feedback session should be scheduled for the principal to provide an overview of the school's draft budget for the Go Team members and the general public. Why? This meeting provides an opportunity for Go Teams to discuss how the school's budget has been allocated to support the programmatic needs and key strategic priorities. So last week we discussed how much money we received, and now we'll look at how that money is going to be distributed. When meetings must be held in February before staffing conferences and may be combined with the allocation meeting as needed. If the Go Team has completed strategic plans updates and ranked our strategic priorities. So as a review, and we'll go through these, but we know these are our 1 to 9 that we reviewed and that we will continue to use. And they are here in this chart. So the next 3 pages or so will have our strategic priorities, school priorities, and the rationale behind them. So we talked about creating a school-wide culture of high expectations, trust and strong communication. And we know that when home and school are in alignment, it increases opportunities for students to excel. We must forge strong communication and trust with all of our stakeholders. The second one was cultivate a global learning community that cohesively aligns our school systems and resources with the IB curriculum and supports our diverse population. So our mission is to ensure that all students graduate, prepare for college and careers. IB is the overarching component that will foster critical and creative thinking to create globally minded students. We want to develop a literate community in which students read and write with clarity and fluency across the curriculum. And so with the continued implementation of foundations, RightScore, and interactive read-alouds, it is of paramount importance that we continue to develop teachers, students, and the community in literacy. We must also consider the impact of the required science of reading implementation and new literacy standards that are coming out for 2025. The 4th priority, or the 5th, I believe, is embed a data-driven multi-tier system of support to improve all subgroups' performance in math and ELA. So MTSS, data analysis, intervention, and differentiated instruction will target all cohorts within the school to provide rigorous instruction and meet each and every one of our students where they are and push them to the next level. Offer a rigorous curriculum with an enhanced focus on the integration and application of math, science, and technology. So math and science are areas of opportunity for our school. We must continue to focus on conceptual teaching of math and productive struggle to develop students' math skills. Create a well-rounded curriculum that develops the whole child by providing more exposure to and appreciation of the arts and social emotional learning. So we know in this day and age, stick to here, well-rounded students that are aware of their social emotional needs are better prepared to manage the rigor of college and careers. We must not only prepare our students academically, but we must develop globally minded students who are adept at working with people from diverse backgrounds. And so, and also in that, the appreciation for the arts and everything that goes along with that. Implement the WCI team, the whole child and intervention team, with 100% fidelity. As we implement MTSS and other supports, there are students that require additional help who we can support through WCI. So we don't necessarily have to go to the level of MTSS. It could be something very simple where we can help them without even getting them into that process. The goal is to meet the students' needs and improve their proficiency. Offer authentic and diverse professional learning experiences and tiered coaching to increase teacher efficacy. We must continue to support and develop teachers with quality PL and during PLCs. The ultimate goal is for teachers to lead PLCs as subject matter experts and be able to plan effective, rigorous lessons. So that's the work that's happening now with the goal of Jennifer, Ashley, and Carla more going into the facilitator role as the teachers lead, especially with everything that's coming out. They need like more help right now, but eventually the teachers should be leading this, and they're on the side just facilitating and giving advice and adding input as needed. Foster an active and engaged school community that encourages inclusion of all stakeholders. So for our school to realize true growth, we need the support of our diverse parent and community. And we must find new ways to engage all stakeholders and form strong partnerships. So those are our goals. So those are our priorities and the rationale behind why we have them. Also, they're aligned to the APS 5 focus areas, as you saw in the previous slides, that below them, each component goes into the areas of focus for APS 5. We'll talk about the strategies as we go into the next ones and what the request, the ask, and the amount. And I'll just make it very simple for you. There's not many changes. A lot of the ask are just to continue with what we have this year and if it's not broke or not broken, don't fix it, and let's give it time to see how it works out. So when we look at the first priority, create a school-wide culture of high expectations, trust, and strong communication, which falls under fostering academic excellence for all. One of the strategies is to use our front office clerks to help with communication, answering the phones, things of that nature. They will also start to be trained on how to do different social media and post in different boards within the school, so that helps build that. One of the complaints that I heard when I first arrived was no one ever answers the phone, so we increased the amount of clerks to hopefully get the doors answered in a good amount of time, as well as answer the phones on a regular basis. The cost for the 4 clerks is right here, $213,180, $213,180. So then when we look at cultivate a global learning community that cohesively aligns our school systems and resources with the IB curriculum and supports our diverse population, fostering academic excellence for all. We talked about this last time, how IB was going to be the umbrella under and over which everything is going to fall under that. So with planning, we need to use our IB coach with planning and transdisciplinary IB units, as well as leading PLCs, leading the work, doing observations within the classroom, and making sure that everything meshes with the IB program. So my request, like I said, nothing new. Maintain the IB coach. The cost of that is $124,059. I keep not saying and because and is a decimal. I just want to make sure I speak mathematically.
This is just a curious question. When these amounts to include like benefits and fringe?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's everything in there, the average, right? You're saying we don't make that.
No, not that. I'm asking, does it encompass it or do you need to ask?
No, that's
more?
what the teachers were
Oh.
saying.
No, it does, and it's the average for the district too, is how they budget it. So that is the average salary and benefits of an IB coach.
Okay.
When they take the years and everything.
So
into
not,
consideration.
right, depending on the years, not every coach makes that, but they just take everyone together, average it out, and that's what they give us for the district. So develop a literate community in which students read and write with clarity and fluency across the curriculum. So that falls under fostering academic excellence for all. So we will continue with literacy support through the media specialists, instructional coach, ELA instructional coach, and EIP teachers. So this is the plan to continue with that.
Sorry, can you just do EIP? Yeah.
Early intervention
Okay,
program.
all right.
So sorry, so for our students, and please always stop me if I'm just giving education speak. EIP teachers are the ones that work with students that scored a certain percentage and need additional help in math and reading. And we've mainly been focusing on reading at both campuses, but they're able to do both. And so That's their work right now. So continuing with literacy support through the media specialists, instructional coaches, and EIP teachers. We have 2 EIP teachers, 1 per campus, 2 media specialists, 1 per campus, and the instructional coach. So here's the breakdown, instructional coach, 2 media specialists, 2 EIP teachers, excuse me. And the cost of that is $594,940.
Can I ask a question specifically? How are media specialists supporting literacy? I
So,
mean, obviously, they're media specialists checking out books and whatever, but are they doing interventions or they?
so they're not doing interventions yet. That's always a possibility, but when we start talking about the IB exhibition, and even now they're supposed to start working with the students on research projects at the upper grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, mainly 4th and 5th, that will be doing exhibition research, proper techniques for research and things of that nature to help prepare our students for IB exhibition and other things of that nature.
And they do lessons and read to students.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was just gonna ask, when students come to like the media specialist here, do they teach them like researching tips and strategies and like presenting information strategies and
So-
skills like that?
So that's what we're talking about now, because when we had 2 teachers go to training for IB exhibition,
Mhm.
and so we'll be meeting soon, all of us together, to get what they said in the training, and then that will guide what the media specialists will continue to work with the students on to get them ready for exhibition.
And sorry, has there always been 2 media specialists?
Not always.
No? Okay.
No.
So that's
Um,
new.
We've had one, it was very, like, the media center's closed half the time.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
issue.
We, in my tenure, we kind of tried it and it didn't necessarily work. It didn't fully support students because there's one person split between 2
Yeah.
campuses.
And let me say this, although the money is included here, the district has actually funded those. So the district funded, they're requiring us to have media specialists, so they funded media specialists at both
Both of them?
buildings. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we start to talk about, when we get to the last sheet and we talk about the changes that I made
Mhm.
as far as reduction in employees, you keep that in mind, because this year, I believe I paid for the media specialists out of our budget,
Mhm.
but they absorbed that. So that was one less position that I actually had to fill out of our actual budget.
Is that where on that sheet it said removed media specialist, added the media specialist?
Right, so I removed the media specialist from, she was a CARES media
That's what I was
specialist,
thinking.
Okay, that's
removed her from CARES, and then added her in as a media specialist under our general
Is that the
budget.
same, the EIP was the same way?
Yeah, one of the EIP teachers was the same way.
Right. And then-
As we keep going, if there are more that are not coming out of our budget, could you just
I will,
tell us?
everything so far, this is the first one.
Yeah.
Let me make sure. Yep,
EIP was 1 per campus, right?
one per
Or 2
campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
One per campus. So embedded data-driven multi-tier system of support to improve all subgroup performance in, in math and ELA, still under fostering academics excellence for all, and continue to monitor the need for math support through MTSS. And this is our person, MTSS is that multi-tiered system of support. And that's when we use our different interventions for the tier 1 level, which is what all students should receive. And they are not getting what they need from that. They're not performing, and we're not able to help them grow at the level we should. Then they go to tier 2, where we start to observe and monitor and take data to the tier 2 level. She works with the teachers on that. She shares data with the teachers on a monthly basis about how the students are performing. If that doesn't accomplish what we needed to accomplish, then we go to tier 3, which is more rigorous observations. And then if we're not able to support students at that level, or something that the student needs that's more than that, then we start to look at assessing students for either special ed or different categories to see what is it that they need to continue to grow. So this really, hopefully what happens is, let's say at tier 2, the student is not performing where he needs to be initially, we give interventions, the teacher tries that, and the student starts to grow, then they come out of tier,
Mhm.
So this is a way of preventing students from being just railroaded into special ed, and trying different interventions and different means to support those students before we even talk about special ed or something that's more restrictive. And this can be for behavior and academics as well.
So it's more than math.
It's math, it's ELA, what do I have, just
It
math?
just says math, so I mean, I know that Upshaw does a little bit of everything. How does the EIP teacher work with the MTSS? Are they like a combined,
So
Or is
they
that-
consult with each other and they know what the needs are of the students and they collect data and those conversations continue
Okay.
between everyone.
So the MTSS goes beyond academics, it goes to social
Yeah.
services,
Yeah,
right?
well, not social, more behavior.
yeah.
Yeah.
When we get to whole child intervention team, that's where it goes into everything else.
Yeah.
And so that shows you like all the types of support that we have for students to really help push them and make them, help them do their best. Yes, ma'am.
And should we add reading to that?
We
The
should.
strategies?
We should. I think it was a typo.
Okay.
I had to meet with budget, I think on Tuesday. And there were a bunch of changes that we had to make to balance the budget. So I really just had like a day or so to work on this. And then I was in a meeting all day today. So excuse any typos, but I really wanted to go through and make sure that the content of it was good. And so we do have a space for ELA as well. So that's $124,059. The next one, offer a rigorous curriculum with an enhanced focus on the integration of math, on the integration and application of math, science, and technology. So fostering academic excellence for all. Utilize the math coach to support rigorous instruction, productive struggle, and conceptual understanding in math. And continue with the math coach for next school year is the request. And that's at $130,540. Create a well-rounded curriculum that develops the whole child by providing more exposure to and appreciation of the arts and social emotional learning. So fostering academic excellence for all. And what you will see in this bucket here, the strategies are to still have our specialist teachers exposing our students to different curriculum, the arts and things of that nature. So that's a big chunk. But it's an important chunk because when we talk about developing the whole child, so we have music within this, 2 teachers, art, 2 teachers, PE, 2 teachers, SEL, 1 teacher. I put SEL twice, excuse me. World languages, 2.5 teachers, counselor, that's 1 counselor, and the total, which that's a little bit incorrect, minus the $109,171. So it's minus that from the million that we have here, and that's the total for that area. And questions, anyone?
I was just curious on the world language, you said 2.5,
Mhm.
but French isn't gonna be here anymore.
So our French teacher also teaches Spanish.
Okay, so she's gonna be. the
She can
half.
teach Spanish, so not 100% sure yet, but we're looking, when we start talking about scheduling, which is coming up soon, she's also IB, she's also gifted, so there's some different things that we can look at using her for an additional special for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, or, well, depending on who's on the schedule for that half-day time, it might be just 4th and 5th. So we're looking at different ways that she can support those 2 grade levels and maybe give another special. And where are we? So we'll have to correct that, but my apologies. Let's go back. All right, implement the WCI team with 100% fidelity, and that's building a culture of student support. The WCI team, which consists of the social worker, Mr. Champion, the AP who worked in that realm, who's doing a phenomenal job with that group, counselor, nurses, the school psychologist, the SEL teacher, and other staff members will meet weekly to discuss a plan of support for students who need it. This occurs every single week. They discuss students, find ways to support them. Sometimes it's a social emotional need. And once they discover what it is, that child's problem is solved for the moment, and they actually come off of the care team. So the goal is to find out what that student needs, support that student, and I think that's very important work, so I wanted to continue with that. utilize the WCI team to address SEL attendance and academic needs. So the social worker is here, which is also funded from the district, I believe. The counselor, I've added her here, but with zero because she was mentioned in another section, so we're not paying for her twice. School nurses, these are the 2 school nurses, our school psychologist, and the total is $432,637. Caught myself. All right, offer authentic and diverse professional learning experiences and tiered coaching to increase teacher efficacy. So that falls under equipping and empowering leaders and staff. So utilize our 3 coaches to support planning rigorous lessons and support teachers with observation and feedback. No additional requests for this priority because throughout we have 1 ELA coach, 1 math coach, 1 IB coach, and that's who will be working with the students and the teachers. So this is already accounted for in previous requests.
We have our own school psychologist.
So next year, and that one will be funded from the district as well, from what I understand. We will have a full-time school psychologist. I think right now she's shared between just 2 or 3 schools.
So then will it come out of this money?
It won't. That's the district supported that.
And she will be one for both campuses.
1
not
for
two.
both, going
Okay.
between both campuses.
That's better than.
Mhm. Is the MTSS in that whole child intervention team?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and foster an active and engaged school community that encourages inclusion of all students. So creating a system of school support. The parent liaison will communicate with families and host events that empower parents. And so continue to utilize our parent liaison for the upcoming school year. And that's at a cost of $51,871.
Who's included in the parent liaison group? Is it go?
Who's included in
Yeah, so when you're saying the parent liaison, who is it?
Mr. Kasike? You never met Mr. Kasike?
I do remember that. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
He is the parent liaison.
Okay.
And we had an interesting, fun meeting. I think it was fun because I haven't done this before and I've wanted to do it since I've arrived here. We had a parent Zoom last weekend at 7 o'clock in Spanish. And I had about 20 something parents on there and just shared school information and asked for any concerns and we brought the concerns back and whatever they needed, I think Mr. Kasike was able to get it out. So it was fun. And they said they never had it before and they asked for us to do it on a monthly basis. So
That's great.
that's the kind of stuff that he'll be doing, along with me and whoever else would like to participate. So do we have any questions about that? Any concerns? Anything that you think may need to be changed? Anything that's creative that we might want to consider? But when I tell you, we don't have a lot of money left. Like even, to be honest, supplies are down to about 20,000. That's why, let's talk about the next slide.
Mhm.
No, that slide went away. Well, so this is, did I skip that slide? Let's go. All right, so this is the budget by function. So $8,850,285 went towards instruction. Then you see the next one is $610,326 went towards pupil services. Improvement of instructional services, $386,606. So you see, like, the money is really going straight into the students and their needs. Educational media services, $246,058. Administrators, administration, $982,329. So I believe that includes the clerks and everyone, as well as the APs and the principal. And then maintenance and operations, $149,312. And then transportation, we only had 780 because we get a lot of support from foundation. And so I think looking at last year's budget, the only thing that we paid for was for the trip to Sutton and back. And so we didn't need a lot because foundation is really taking care of all of the field trips or PTO as well. one second. And so this is what the pie looks like. So 79% on instruction, 5% on pupil services, 4% on improvement of instructional services. What is the next one? Oh, it's not there. Educational media services, 2%, school administration, 9%, maintenance and operations, 10%, and transportation, you can't see it's minimal amount, it's probably less than 1%. So that's what the pie looks like and where we're spending our money. So any questions, any suggestions, anything of that nature, thoughts?
I have a thought. So with the world language having that 0.5, and I was just thinking, we have on here that we want to incorporate, obviously science is also a form of growth for us. Is there any way that that 0.5 could, like you said, if she's going to be with 4th and 5th grade, like help support the science curriculum, or have like added, I don't know, scientific method or something to help those specifically with science and technology? Because we hit math really hard with the math coach. That could be added.
And that's
Somewhere we could add
definitely a
support.
possibility. So I kind of think of her right now as more of a flex until we know for sure what we want to do, but that is definitely a possibility. And for priorities, these are the reserve funds, 139,000.
And that's CARES.
That's not CARES.
Okay.
So every year with the budget, they hold a certain amount back. So let's say, for example, and it helped us this year. Say, for example, our enrollment doesn't come at the projected number, then instead of having to lose a teacher, they pull from this. And so then, we're in good shape. We don't have to lose any teachers and reshuffle or anything of that nature. But now let's say we come in right at where we're supposed to be or a little bit over, then we'll receive all of those funds. And what I was asking to use it for was for putting that money into our sub budget and then supplies, so that we can have some professional learning days to kind of ease some of the burdens on the teachers if possible. Have like a day where they can plan all day, have subs come in and do IB units and whatever they need to do. And that is the goal, but we have to have that money released to us at the beginning of the school year. And then we can just do a budget transfer request, move some of that money into subs, move some into supplies, because I think I'm bare bones on supplies. I think we're down about 20,000 with supplies, but we also have foundation to support us with that when we need it. So that's why I said I can deal with having lower amounts of supply money right now, because I know that we can get help with that, but the teachers foundation can't pay for it, so I'd rather have the teachers. So, but I did have to make some hard choices as we move into the next slides. So I had a kindergarten teacher that was on CARES. So when you see her removed or the teacher removed, then, and it's not about the teacher, it's about the position. We added the teacher back under this budget. Same thing with one EIP teacher removed and then added back, and then a media specialist removed and then added back. So we maintain the same level. Now, the other two that you see here is a 2nd and a 4th grade teacher. And I'm sorry, there is another document that I pasted in, but it's not here. What I did, and I can probably just go into Google and show you this afterwards, I looked at the projection by grade levels, and the team, we sat down and talked and looked at each grade level with the amount of students that are projected to be there next year. If they had the same amount of teachers, what would be the class sizes? And then -1 teacher, what would be the class sizes? And in order to balance the budget, we did need to lose 2 teachers. So we chose 1 2nd grade teacher because the numbers would work with 2nd grade, and 1 4th grade teacher because those numbers would work as well. And we can look specifically at those numbers.
Would they balance out if teachers are retiring or?
So remember, we're talking about positions, not people.
Yeah. Well.
it will
position.
balance out.
Yeah,
It will balance out, and that was the hope, because we're moving one teacher to another grade level that's not gonna come out of our budget. And then we're also losing one teacher, but we have another teacher that will go into that role. So we don't have to lose anyone. And last week, when one of the questions came up about retaining teachers, that's very important, because when you start to hear, oh, this person was let go because we didn't have enough of a budget,
yeah.
I did everything that I could to make sure that we kept all teachers here that wanted to be here. And so we were able to use those two teachers, so it's not a loss of a person on the staff. We're losing a position, but those people will remain with us.
But so just for public notes, when these go out, should it be something like to show that they're transitioning into another role, right? To not create the panic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's not gonna be.
Well, I think it
Well,
would help
you
if
know
you just said
what?
second grade position. Like, you're not removing a person.
But,
No.
so as you bring that up, technically I missed one.
Yes.
And the one that I missed that we are creating, but then I guess I actually missed two.
Yes.
So we are abolishing a general pre-K position, right? And we are creating a DLI pre-K position. So that's where we'll transition one teacher as well. So I'll add that to the slides before we put it out.
But I think to your point too, because of our public comment last time,
Mhm.
there was a lot of people saying the teacher retention was something that they're
Mhm.
concerned about. And I would want to put something out that's, lessen those concerns, instead of heighten them. And it could be just like, syntax, just instead of teacher
A
position.
position, second grade spot. I have another question.
Okay, so you're saying add position after just to say,
No,
Which
just
one,
to-
remove
Just
teacher?
to say, like, removed a kindergarten position.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Created,
Instead
because
of
then it's the spot, not the person.
Yeah, yes, yes,
Understood.
yes.
Just
yes.
just semantics here.
Yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
So I will make those adjustments.
I have one question about that. So from what I understand, the fourth grade teacher helped make the fourth grade class sizes smaller because that was a large class in third grade, I know.
Right.
So what will that do to the class sizes of that outgoing fourth grade that is now going into fifth grade where there's not an extra teacher?
So fifth grade, I think is hovering, and I'll show you specifically. So give me a second. 1 second as I go.
It's not typing.
Probably because you have to turn it on. So these are our 24-25 projections. Oh, let me make sure I share this. So here are 24-25 projections. And when we look at these numbers are what's projected for 24-25. And so this is the overall average if you just look at the grade. But what I did was pull out DLI because we know that they're only going to those two teachers and then divided the rest of the grade. So this number that says without DLI teachers included, this is the average for each class size. And then minus one teacher, that's what it would be. So we know we can't do it with fifth. That's why that's red. And we know that third at 28.5 is too big. So we didn't touch, and we know that with kindergarten at 27.6, that's too big. So the grade levels that we took a look at, first, we considered that these are newer teachers, and when you consider retention and helping and supporting teachers that are newer, we kept this number low, especially since in kindergarten, they have the paraprofessionals, and you're going from a paraprofessional to just one teacher. Second grade would go from 15.2 to 19, and that's fine, and that's a good number. Third, we didn't touch. Fourth went from 18.4 to 23, and which is a pretty decent number. And fifth is the biggest at 27.25, which is a little about, we're about there right now, right? Yeah, I think when we looked at it, we're about at 27, 26 right now.
For non-DLI.
For non, yeah. I
Yeah.
was gonna say.
In the current fifth grade class.
Mm-hmm.
So DLI will have, what, 19 versus 28?
Yes. In fifth grade.
And does that account for students that may like come in and pull out within classes or?
Well, with DLI, they're gonna add, this number will increase as students come. So
Do we see that generally?
we
in, like,
see
the upper grades?
from when they're coming in from other countries, you see 2 to 3 come in per year. And you might go up from 38 to 40. It just depends on what happens in the year. And, you know, right now we're in a huge immigration shift, so it's quite possible. What was that? There was another point here. And so even when you look at like the lower grades, you know, this is in the lower grades, DLI actually has more students versus as you increase, you know, with the students moving and things of that nature. So that's how we decided to move with the grade levels that we did. And so back to the PowerPoints. So the questions for the Go team to consider, which we've kind of been discussing throughout.
Mr. Hudson, if you don't mind, can I stop you for just a second?
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to the script that'll lead to
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Principal Hudson, for sharing this information. We will now need to discuss the draft budget to ensure it addresses our school strategic plan and identify priorities. Some questions as presented to you on the board to consider during our discussion. One, are our school's priorities from the strategic plan reflected in this budget? Things we might ask. Are new positions and or resources included in the budget to address our major priorities? Do we know as a team the plan to support implementation of these priorities beyond the budget? Example, what strategies will be implemented? And then what trade-offs are being made in order to support these priorities? The second question we might ask, overarching, how are district and cluster priorities reflected in our budget? Such as cluster priorities, but staff, materials, et cetera, are dedicated to supporting our cluster priorities. Signature programs, what staff, materials, et cetera, are dedicated to supporting our signature program. And then are there positions our school will share with another school, like a nurse, counselor, psychologist?
I remember a time ago, there was an issue about the nurse. The nurse has been resolved, right? So we have the two.
We have 2 nurses.
Mhm.
We have 2 nurses.
That's it.
It is, we were discussing it today, all the principals from the North Cluster were together. It's hard to find nurses. The nurses are in demand everywhere. And so it's hard to find nurses, but we had a nurse that started and quit in one day. And not because she didn't like us, she liked us, it was just the drive was too far. And so now we have our new nurses here and she's been working out fine. So we'll be sitting down and meeting and just talking about what our needs are. And like you said, trying to make sure we retain everyone that we can.
At the beginning of the meeting, you said that there were some budget parameters that changed based on the strategic plan.
So when we discussed it last time, we talked about moving like Lexile scores and reading scores and things of that nature. This is more aligned just to the school plan. So we went down, as you noticed, right through the priorities that we established, rationale, and what was the ask. So then you see, okay, here's what we said we would do. Here's the rationale. This is the money that we're spending and why. So that, it didn't really change. I just, learned to do it better.
Got
it. So.
Sorry.
And that, that comes from sharing, one of the principals, veteran principal actually shared his with us. And then when I looked at it, I said, oh, this is a much better way to do it. And it makes more sense and it's more aligned. And you can see that what we discussed, you see it coming out in dollars and cents. So that's why I changed it to just match everything according to our plan and priorities.
When it comes to personnel, because we only talked about a few positions, is it now each campus has their own set of personnel for the most part, except for the counselor?
There's various positions that are shared, like, the coaches, they go back and forth. I go back and forth. The
Yeah.
APs go back and forth. The psychologist will go back and forth. The counselor,
SEO.
the SEO, not so much.
Do we have 2 SEL teachers?
One.
Oh, that was just a double. That was a double.
MTSS.
Mhm.
MTSS.
MTSS. The nurse, when we were down to one,
Mhm.
goes back and forth.
But in the new budget,
Mhm.
from what I'm gathering, will be going towards mostly 2.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how it's been as much as we can.
Okay.
After this, it looks like, is the psychologist the only one?
She
Oh,
also
like-
goes back and forth.
Yeah, she goes back and forth,
The
but like in
psychologist?
terms of like
Yeah.
the specials teachers and
Yes,
the,
that's what I'm asking.
yeah. those two.
Going forward.
That is the plan.
Okay, I have something. So I just kind of went through like the priorities and we kind of talked about how we're going to be gauging these and measuring them. Is there any kind of idea of how we're going to be measuring like this culture of high expectations, trust and communication? Like, is there any data that we're going to be using
So-
or following? Surveys, or I don't know.
One of the surveys that will be going out soon is the one from the state.
Okay.
There's a state survey, it's called the climate survey, and it really goes into how parents feel. Do you feel safe? I think there are questions like, and I didn't take that one,
Mhm.
but is the school welcoming? Are you able to talk to your child's teacher? They ask questions like that, and that one will be coming out soon.
Okay.
We have data also from, oh gosh, what was the other one called? Not the Gallup. The Gallup is us. Amp Up. The Amp Up survey that went out to parents already,
Okay.
so we'll take data from that and just keep moving in the directions that where we see that we can improve and where we have opportunities for growth. We'll take that information, discuss it with leadership, and that's the greater leadership team, including the teachers, to decide, okay, what can we do to improve in these various areas? And so one of them, and then also just regular daily conversations and just taking, that qualitative data.
Yeah.
Like we heard, oh, we don't get the phone answer when we
Mhm.
call, and we took action on that. So that's why last year we went from 2 clerks, 1 per building to 2 per building, which
Mhm.
made sense because how do
There's a
they
lot
get
going
breaks?
on.
How do they get to leave?
Mhm.
And this is a high traffic school with a lot of volunteers and things of that nature. So we actually needed 2 clerks per building.
This is not directly in the budget, but it affects the school. Food, that has nothing to do with local Sarah Smith. That's like an APS issue. Meals,
I'm just trying to think if I'm about to speak out of turn.
okay.
I guess not. Starting next year,
Yes,
we have a vendor, it's called SFE. That vendor is going away. And the cafeteria will be, all the cafeteria employees will be APS employees.
yes.
So the vendors and the contractors are going away and we're going to have them in our school.
So that means they're actually cooking the food.
Well, we'll see.
No.
I know when
Choosing the
I
vendor.
first started, our cafeteria cooks used to cook and like, they used to do some good, on Fridays, they would fry fish for teachers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they had a little bit more flexibility, they're very strict. And sometimes, I'll reserve my comments, but I think we could be a lot more kid-friendly, I'll say it that way, with some of the lunch vendors.
Well, but
So
not
I
just
appreciate
lunch,
them
but
coming back
breakfast.
in.
And breakfast is the problem.
Are you
Yeah,
talking about the
sometimes when you
choices
get
or this?
The choices.
like a
choices or
hamburger
the
bun with butter and cereal.
Okay.
That, yeah, yes, and
Tricks and a graham cracker.
tricks and my son eats breakfast and he comes here for second
And that's the
breakfast.
start of
and
the day.
Mhm.
They're eating tricks at the start of the day with
They're
that.
eating the jelly packets.
Jelly packet.
They're eating just taking a spoon and eating the jelly packets and then having the
Yeah.
trick cereal.
And then having,
drinking the
and then going to
strawberry
the
milk.
class and it's like,
Mhm.
So I'm
Sugar,
hoping
sugar,
that
sugar,
improves
sugar,
next year.
Yeah.
And I understand you don't want your kids, I mean, the tricks may still be around.
My guess though is if they're becoming APS employees, that vendor has contracts with the people that are bringing in these things. I'm just assuming that APS is gonna have better
Mhm.
vendors that they're gonna, even if it's just Cisco, fine, but let it be healthy Cisco, not
But then,
sugar
yeah, so
Cisco.
who's the dietitian that's planning these meals? Is it at the top?
So we
or the
have, we
local?
do have people in APS that plan that. The old one retired and we have a new guy, his last name is Bankhead, I wanna say. And so I don't know all the specifics yet, but I do know that we are getting our cafeteria staff back, like our own cafeteria staff.
Does that
And not
include lunch
contractors.
monitor, or does that include them?
No, the lunch monitors are ours, we hire those. So there's other positions that we don't discuss within this budget, but you'll see there are hourly positions like lunch monitor. Well, that's the only hourly position we have for lunch monitors.
Mhm.
So,
I have one more thing that I mean, going back to the fifth grade projections, I think 28 is kind of a scary number for parents to see, especially, I mean, you might be able to, you'll probably be able to speak better to this. When we get new students to our school, are they majority going into DLI, or would you say the majority are going into the traditional classrooms?
I would say it's a blend, but it's probably more towards the traditional classrooms, to be honest.
Because I'm having flashbacks to third grade when that fifth grade class had 28, 27, 28, 29 students per class, and then they kept growing and growing and growing. And so we got another one for fourth grade and the class sizes got small. So I'm wondering if maybe there's some wiggle room. I mean, even with that 0.5, like teacher, I know that will be a concern for a lot of parents looking at fifth grade.
And I did look up, the class numbers this year, and they're around 2021.
Okay, for fifth? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we can take a look, for really, it's like, where do we pull from?
Right, and I think we have to also think, unfortunately, would you rather have that class size larger in a lower grade or in a higher grade? And generally speaking, coming from teaching fourth and fifth, the maturity level being different, the needs being different, if we had to choose, I would rather have a higher grade than a higher lower grade.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's ideal.
I agree with that.
I've had 29 in a fourth grade class, like for several years.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure how high it can go up in fifth grade, but I mean, I think 35. We look at, we tried to make our first grade classes smaller so that we can really focus on reading and decoding, like building that foundational piece, so I think those are the hard decisions.
So is there any room for like innovating in, like, I know for a few years you guys would switch. You would have like a math science, you would have a reading writing. I'm just thinking, is there any room for something like that? So it's like you have this larger class, but maybe they're not sitting in the exact same room with the exact same people in the exact same setup all day.
Fifth
That's-
grade is
that's what we're doing.
departmentalized.
So we're, okay,
At fifth grade?
in fifth grade, but it hasn't been done prior to that.
No, it's
No,
not this year.
It has been for the last several years. I mean, as long as I've been here, fifth grade has been departmentalized.
I mean, like, but like the fourth, like, I'm just saying it
Fourth
used
or
to be
third.
third, fourth, fifth, and now it's just fifth.
It's just fifth.
Okay,
It's just fifth.
all right, so I guess there's some wiggle room in there. Is there any sort of like with what the parent comment was last week, talking about advanced, offering advanced math or offering more of like a differentiated specific?
So I'm going to meet
track?
with that parent, but I really believe at this point that comes from the district, but I want to hear what the parent suggestions are.
Mhm.
And then take it to the district people to say, hey, what is our flexibility at the school
Yeah.
level?
Yeah, because I'm just kind of wondering if there's something
Because that's,
that we can do to not repeat, like, as a parent in that class, third grade was a lot, and there was a lot of ebbs and flows and unknowns. And I think it would be helpful if there was a plan in action that we can say, we know this is going to be larger class sizes. We are prepping fourth grade to get ready for, you know what I mean? Like something to kind of use that to those parents, especially when DLI is going to be 19 students per class. That's going to be a real hard pill for a lot of parents to swallow.
And I think too, maybe like the advanced math discussion carried that on, because if that was something that we could do, which we have done before, that would satisfy helping push those higher kids, it would help satisfy reducing, not necessarily reducing the class size, but kids moving throughout the day, going to gifted, going to advanced math, going to special, could have some wiggle room on making that what it actually looks like in the classroom.
And fifth grade does move a lot between, you know, the two classes and whatever other supports that they have, as well as specials. They move a lot, so it's not like they're gonna be sitting all day in one place. They're gonna move and they're gonna get what they need, and we'll make sure. And then if by chance, like my first year, we weren't able to get, like we were over the enrollment, so we were able to hire a teacher later in the year. So I know that's not the best thing, but if we do get the opportunity to hire, then we'll look at where's our biggest need next year, because these are just projections. And so the projections have been more or less close to what it should be, but they're still just projections. My first year, we were 84? I can't remember. We came over the projections by maybe 80 students or so. And so that's how we earned an additional teacher, was able to use that at that time.
I have a question. I hate to compare, but I have heard other schools that have a foundation use that money to pay for a teacher. But I thought I heard you say that's something we cannot do.
They can't. As far as I know, now, I don't know if people bend the rules or have a trick around it, but they're not supposed to hire additional teachers. What they do is relieve the budget for me in different places. So like when I talked about taking our budget, I think our budget was set somewhere near 80,000 this year for materials. And I took it down to 20,000 for next year, because I know we have that cushion to work with. That's the kind of stuff they can do. So then that extra 60,000, I was able to say, okay, we'll maintain this teacher or maintain that, or, you know, get an additional teacher or get these things that we need. And so that's how that support comes in hand. But if there's a trick that someone knows, you just, well, I can't say that online. Send me the information. Okay. All
Somebody
right.
from the chat, yeah.
Yeah, this Miss Barnes, thank you.
I can like hear her voice saying.
Oh, the Zoom link in the blast wasn't working, but we have a number of people here.
All right, thank you, Principal Hudson. We will now hear about additional information items. We do have an announcement. Oh, I'm so sorry, I moved on too fast. We will now move on to the information items. First, the principal's report.
Ms. Whitty or Ms. Kemp, if you're still in the building, please report to the front office. Ms. Whitty or Ms. Kemp, please report to the front office.
I was running all day. But I will say, our students are doing some amazing things, so keep your eyes out for them. I wanted to mention them by name on this Go team. I know, oh gosh, what is Ellis's last name?
Hargrove.
Hargrove, yes. So Adiv Bardwaj, Sawyer Godbiel, and Ellis Hargrove all participated in the district-wide technology competition this weekend. I got there just in time to see all three of them, but I couldn't go into the room and say, well, me and Judge. We'll be making an announcement later about how they did. We have several students participating in honor chorus this Saturday. And so Ms. Henson is leading that up. We had social studies fair winners, Matthew Yavinsky and Thomas Sanders Gray at third grade. And when are the kids going to science?
They go on the 12th, February 12th.
February 12th, we have the science children students going. And then Seth Little, who was in the spelling bee and competed, was 3rd to 8th grade, won 4th in the district, so he will be, and he was going against 8th graders, let's make sure that that's stated. So he will be going to regionals with the school system on the
September.
February 12th, right?
February 24th.
24th,
Nice.
yes.
And we had 3 other students who participated in the district social studies fair. We
Right.
didn't place, but they were, they also were proud of them.
Yeah, I'm anticipating some good news from at least one of the students that participated in Tech Fair, because there was a buzz. So we'll see what happens. And so our students are doing some great things around the district and regionally, so we just want to keep them moving and get them inspired to keep pursuing their favorite things and their passions and desires. And that's all I can ask for when I see them just excelling in all types of areas and just volunteering to do these things. And I'll say that Adiv came to me in October to talk to me about AI and why are we using AI in school. And I said, well, you know what, put together a presentation. And when he came with the presentation, I said, you have to do this technology fair. And he started working on it from that time. So lots of good things happening with the students around the school.
We're going to our 3rd debate tournament.
Oh,
in the
that's
district
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
Mhm.
And we have a math team now too, that's competing.
Isn't esports gonna be competing soon?
Esports is coming back too. So we had 2 of the district winners last year. We had 2. So we're looking for great things with that in this inaugural competition for the year.
All right, thank you, Principal Hudson. We will now hear additional information items. We do have an announcement from the Go Team office. Declarations for Go Team elections are open until February 28th. We will need both parent, guardian, and non-supervisory instructional staff candidates. So if you are interested and or know of anyone else who would be a good fit for our team, please direct them to the apsstrongschools.com website to declare their candidacy. If you have questions, please contact the Go Team office. Does anyone have any additional announcements?
Is that something we should send out, like in the news, the Weekly Star and to the teachers?
How does that go out?
I'm pretty sure, has it already gone out? I know that I've gotten an email
In a text message.
and I've received a
Yeah.
text message. It can go out in the Weekly Star if it hasn't already.
Is that the e-blast?
Yes,
Yeah.
the e-blast.
Okay.
We can do, I can double
I think that'll be
on
good.
that.
Yeah.
Because I do the meetings and then.
We'll put it in the scoop.
I was about to say, how do we know that teachers
What's
know?
the scoop? Oh, is
It's
that
our-
the teacher
yeah.
The
e-blast?
teacher e-blast.
Ooh. The scoop.
So our next meeting, I think we had just 2 more items. Our next meeting is the budget approval meeting on March 7th. That happens after our staffing conference. That will be on February 27th. You know, things can happen between now and then. I'm hoping they do. And then Y principals will present the final budget recommendations for Go Team approval. And then all approval meetings must be held after staffing conferences and budgets must be approved by March 15th. And so the March 7th date is perfect for us to meet again, just go over the final recommendations. And you know, I did a lot of playing and going back in and balancing and removing things that were unnecessary. So like when I told you guys we were 269,000 in the red, we found some things that they had to correct to bring us out of that red. And then I still had to balance that out. But that's where we are. So we'll meet again March 7th. My staffing conference, like I said, is March 27th. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time?
I have a question about when we post our minutes. Since we come and vote on the minutes, do we post them immediately after the meeting? Or
Yes.
do we wait until we approve them?
You wait until they're approved, so I will post last month's meet, or last week's meeting
Yeah,
when I get home,
right. And so then the ones from today are held until we.
until we
Approve
approve
the
them,
next time.
yeah.
Okay,
And those are all online.
yeah, okay.
Thank you for everything, everyone.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. A second? Thank you, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please raise your hand. Meeting is adjourned 4:24 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone that joined us online.